So my presentation is about virtual reality augmentations, um, essentially virtual reality gears. My name is Ruther Virban, and I am a computer scientist at Rutgers University, New Brunswick. Currently taking this class online, just like everybody else. Today I would like to talk about VR gears, to be more specific. I know that VR gears have advanced quite rapidly over the years, but I want to go back to the beginning. Um, the beginning. What you see here before you is Ivan Sutherland and his Sword of Damocles, which he created with Bob Sproul at the University of Utah. This was essentially the first VR gear, or head-mounted display. As you can see in the picture itself, this gear is like tethered to the ceiling using a big mechanical arm. This headset was just so heavy that it was really unable to be held up just by someone's head. It required the mechanical arm for the computer to operate and help track the movements. But all was not bad with this Sword of Damocles. It was widely considered to be the first AR and VR head-mounted display system. It was, although it was primitive and it didn't have much in the way of user interface, realism, or graphics. It was 1960 when this stuff came out. It did display output from the computer program in a stereoscopic type of way, which was interesting. It was the first of its time. And it did pave the way for many other virtual reality headsets and AR gears after it. Head tracking was necessary because the perspective the software showed the user would always depend on where the user's gaze would be shown. Obviously, this is fundamental for VR. If you're not being shown what you're looking at, then it's not very useful. This is titled The Sword of Damocles, and Sutherland actually created it when he moved to the University of Utah around the late 1960s to work on various components of the head-mounted display. There, with Bob Sproul, they both created the Sword of Damocles, which was the first fully functional head-mounted display system that was currently operational at the time. This was a very, very, not complicated software. It only consisted of several subsystems, 6 to be in fact. It had a clipping divider, a matrix multiplier, a vector generator, a headset, head position sensor, and a general purpose computer. All these components were what made the first virtual reality as we know them today. Something interesting about the Sword of Damocles is that it wasn't completely integrated. It was partially see-through, so the users were not entirely cut off from their surroundings. Which is why people believe that it is also the father of augmented reality as well. So we're going to talk about current virtual reality gears. We talked about the past and the first one, but now we want to talk about current virtual reality gears. What we want to cover in this is the Oculus VR gear, which is by far my favorite company that manufactures virtual reality. Currently, Oculus's products line only consists of 2 gears, both under the Quest brand. These are standalone headsets which contain their own mobile computing software, which means that they don't have to be plugged into a separate or outside PC to use them. However, you can connect them using a USB port. Yeah. To begin with, we're gonna go over these four gears, which I believe are the most important gears. Starting from the left and going all the way to the right, we have the Rift, the Go, the Quest, and the Quest 2. These were released all in this decade. The Rift was simply known as the Oculus Rift or the Oculus Rift CV1. This was the first consumer model for the Oculus headset. This was released in 2016 in only 20 countries, and it was released at a starting price of around $600. Not very cheap. Now, heading to the Go, we know that it was released in 2017. It was manufactured by Xiaomi. It was released in the Chinese market as the Xiaomi VR. I don't think I'm pronouncing that correctly, I'm sorry. But unlike the Oculus Rift, which was required to be connected to a PC, the Go was a standalone headset which did not require anything to be plugged into it. Unlike other VR systems, Cardboard, Daydream, and the Samsung Gear VR, where VR is actually run on a smartphone inserted into that physical enclosure, it contained its own display and mobile computing hardware. It didn't need to rely on anything else. It was an entire package all in one. This headset included an LCD display, which was 5.5 inches and was 1440p. It also had an external headphone jack for external audio if you wish, and it ran on a Qualcomm Snapdragon 821 system on chip, and it had either 32 or 64 gigabytes of internal storage. This also ran on an Android-based operating system with access to VR games on the App Store. Moving on, we have Quest, which was released in 2018. It was supposed to be the high-end version of the Go, essentially still mobile headset which you can use to do whatever. It was also an Android-based operating system. This included a Snapdragon 835 system on chip and contained either 64 or 128 gigabytes of internal storage. The Quest uses an OLED display, which has a resolution of 1600 to 1440 per eye. Moving on, Quest 2 was released in 2020, and it was just the upgraded version of the Quest, but it had a Snapdragon XR2 on chip, and it had even more additional RAM. This also has an 1832-1920 per eye display that will run at 1930 Hz. Due to this design, however, it had a very limited interpupillary distance, which means that it had more, it was just not as good for looking at things. I'm running out of time, sorry. So, what I believe that the impact and the future of this technology is it allows individuals to go where they aren't able to before. Like, imagine if there was a dangerous situation and someone isn't able to go inside the building. If they send a robot that is equipped to an Oculus VR, it is as if they are in the building at the same time, but they aren't putting themselves in a stressful situation, and they can react to it as best as they can because they are reacting to it in real time as they are controlling the robot. Other than that, I believe that game integration will become much more powerful and unique as the Rift goes on and as Oculus and VR technology improves. Not only that, VR really does open the door for many different other worlds for us to explore. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to me ramble about VR.